Hi, welcome to Studio Mondiala's English for Business Webisode. In this Webisode series, we're talking about improving vocabulary. So let's get started. Today I'm going to talk to you about the following words: negotiations, misinterpret, assertive, provisional, and follow through with. So I'd like to tell you a little story about making the deal. Now, in companies, it's often the main job of the purchasing department to buy stuff for the company, and they do this through negotiations. Now, negotiations is a noun which simply means a formal discussion between people who are trying to reach an agreement. So, for example, a company deals with suppliers to buy raw materials or any supplies that the company may need for its business. Now, an example of how this word is used is that negotiations with certain companies are often very challenging and take a lot of time to reach an agreement. Now, sometimes negotiations can be difficult, especially with other countries, because we tend to misinterpret what the other one is saying. Now, misinterpret is a verb which just means to understand someone or something in the wrong way. So, for example, sometimes negotiations can be difficult when we misinterpret things like body language, tone, etc. So all of these can prove to be quite challenging and be a problem if we're not paying extra attention. So in order to be successful, sometimes in negotiations we have to insist on what we want. So in other words, we have to be assertive. Now, assertive is an adjective which just means saying what you want or think strongly and with confidence so that people take notice. So, for example, sometimes it's necessary to be assertive in setting your terms, especially if it's the most important thing you want. So if there's something in your contract, for example, that you cannot give away to a supplier, then you have to be assertive on making sure that you get what you want when it comes to that. Okay, so now when assertiveness doesn't work, we may have to try something else. And one thing that we may have to agree on is we may have to accept a provisional agreement. Now, the word provisional is an adjective, which means something that is arranged, but not yet defined or fixed. So, for example, sometimes buyers give a provisional agreement which states that the buyer and seller intend to complete a sale at some point, and it's considered legally binding. It can be related to volume or tariff, for example. So let's say that a supplier and a company, they regularly do business together. They have a long-standing contract, so they may sign a provisional contract because maybe they have to discuss some things about maybe changing tariffs or import tax, etc. But they know that they want to purchase a specific volume, for example, from a supplier. Okay, so now when we've gone through all of that, to be successful in negotiations, it's important to follow through with our promises. Now this is very critical because to follow through is an idiom which means to continue doing or thinking about something until you have done everything possible. So for example, it's like if we promise to do something, then we see it to the end, as we like to say. So the use of this word, for example, is successful negotiations rely on both parties following through with all the things they've promised to do. So, this was a brief look at negotiating and how to do business within a company. So thank you for staying tuned, and we hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.